Christian, God isn't mad at you or disappointed in you. He's forgiven you of all of your sins, and He loves you unconditionally. He gave us a substitute to believe in, not goals to accomplish. Join us as we explore the depths of His unending grace. Welcome to the Grace Cafe.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Grace Cafe podcast. My name is Mike.
And I'm Susan.
And together we comprise the husband and wife Grace team, not to be confused with the husband and wife law team. Hey, we're glad you're here today with us. We have kind of a hodgepodge of topics that we want to talk about. As we talk about grace, and as we talk about the gospel, and as we talk about what it means to live in grace, to live in this new covenant age. So to start off our hodgepodge menu, let's talk about your experience at church. You recently decided to go to church on a Sunday. And there's a good response. Just to kind of check it out. And let's talk about your experience. Let's talk about why you wanted to do that. And then what happened when you got there and kind of what you've been able to process since then.
Well, every once in a while, I start feeling like, I start questioning. And I think I'm done with it. And I think, oh, it's okay to live like I'm living, but, not going to church.
I was going to say, let's define that a little more.
Not going to church and not having the worship thing and everything. And, I watched some of the Charlie Clerk Memorial, and the singing was, it was pretty amazing. And just being around people would have been, I missed that whole part of it, the community, the singing. So my sister volunteered to go with me. She's on a similar journey. And so we talked about having a plan for a signal if we needed to leave. But the good thing is that I didn't need to leave. And I think it just shows how far removed I am from everything that happened to me. It's all like way in the distance. Anyways, it was just, the guy up front, and even during the singing, the guy saying, "Everyone raise your hands for this song." And I'm like, why? Isn't that like a natural response when you're singing? If you want to raise your hands, you raise your hands, but you don't just raise your hands because everyone said to raise your hands. Anyway, so, and the guy didn't say anything horrible, but it's so different now. It's pretty authoritative, is what I sensed. And it was like that in the last church I went to. Just like the guy up front has this authoritative, there isn't that softness, I should have gone to we have really close friends that go to a church, and I've been to that one. It's in Gilbert though, and the guy is softer, and he, it's just different. And I don't know, it was just so different having him up front telling me what I needed to think and believe about gays or every topic. He was in Mark, but he hit every topic he wanted to bring into it. And I just remembered my last time I went through Mark was when we were at Praxis, and Justin did such a good job. I was so raw and hurt, and I wept every week because he just painted this beautiful picture of how loving Jesus was. And I had forgotten that. And this was nothing like it. And it reminded me when I came home, we watched the Love Song trilogy, or not trilogy.
Yeah, it's a 3-episode
right
deal.
Episode 3-episode docuseries on Prime. You have to pay for it, but I recommend it. The beginning of the Jesus movement, and it was very true to what happened. And when it showed Chuck Smith, my first pastor, and your first pastor, I think he was your first.
Yes.
He was so, just like I remembered him, smiling all the time, compassionate. And when he taught, he didn't ever yell or assert authority. It was just kind. And that's what the docuseries shows, that's what it was like. And last night we were listening to the Grace guys.
Yes, the Growing in Grace podcast.
Yes, the Growing in Grace. There are a lot of different Grace guys, but these are the Growing in Grace guys. And they were talking about, that you don't have to be witnessed to. They were talking about Jesus, people believing. And that's how it was, You just see something really beautiful and loving, and you see it and you want it. And that's how it was for me.
Yeah, nobody witnessed to me.
No.
Nobody witnessed to you. The night I got saved, it was in January of 1973. I still remember it really well. I went there because of the music. I was invited to go to this concert in this big circus tent, and I heard the gospel there. Tom Stipe was the guy who was sharing the gospel out, and he's the one that led me to the Lord.
Doesn't Amber know him?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Our friend Amber?
Yeah, she does. I think he was a pastor at a church they were at.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, but she knows him or knew him. He's with the Lord now. But yeah, he was sharing the gospel, and I responded because, the Holy Spirit did what the Holy Spirit does and convicted me of my sin right there on the spot. And I saw my need for this, and it's something that I wanted. But nobody was forcing me into it. There wasn't a 4-hour altar call.
Mm-hmm.
There was none of that. It was just the simplicity of the gospel.
That's what I like, the simplicity and the love. I mean, it was so palpable, wasn't it, back then? If you watch the docuseries and it shows the baptisms at the ocean, I was up on the rocks and watching the first time that I was confronted with the love of God. That was the first time in my life I'd ever felt love, that I ever saw love. And I wanted it. Watching the love down on the beach was amazing. And it was different. And so if you bring it to today, instead of arguing against everything on the internet, maybe just love your neighbors. Maybe just express love to other people. Maybe let them see you loving each other. I don't know. It's not working now.
That's true. And I think that's in large part to social media, like you mentioned. It's just, it can be so in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And
angry.
As Christians, it's easy to jump on that bandwagon too, and, have to be right about everything. And you kind of forget just the purity and the simplicity of the gospel. But, that docuseries was so good because it took me back. It took me back to that time. I could still hear it. I mean, there was hay on the floor in that tent.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere was inviting. It was calm. Even, the church building down the road, which they have a lot of video clips in that docuseries, just to see that again, and remember what it was like there, what it was like inside there. And even afterwards, once the church moved to the new building, that little chapel area, that little church building became a bookstore.
And you worked at it.
Yeah, I worked in that bookstore and, for a while. And so we have a lot of history there, and it was so good to see that. Something, too, that happened during that time that really got me started on playing guitar was a couple of the members of Love Song of the band came to our little hometown. So this was in 1973, I believe, probably the summer of 73. And Tommy Coombs came to our little town, Page, Arizona. And him and Mike McIntosh came and spent a weekend with us, 3 days or so. I met Jay Truax at the airport when I deplaned. It's a small airport, so you're out on the tarmac. I met him for a minute, and there was a fourth person. I don't remember who it was, but he and this fourth person and Jay Truax got back on the plane and flew off someplace else. So they were coming to these tiny little areas, these tiny little towns to share Christ, to share the gospel. And we spent 3 days or so with Tommy Coombs and Mike McIntosh kind of canvassing the town with gospel tracts and engaging with people in the park and in the high school, just sharing the love of the Lord with them. There was no other agenda. There was no, we got to get you in the church. There was no, we got to get you tithing. There was no, we have to make you believe this doctrine or this doctrine or this doctrine. It was just come to Jesus. It was a come to Jesus moment. And in the evenings, we had a little coffee house above the theater. We call it a coffee house because that's what you called them back then, but we didn't serve coffee. Yeah, there was no coffee. But in the evenings, Tommy Coombs would come up there with his guitar and play songs for us. And it really inspired me to want to learn guitar. So I did. I did learn guitar, and he was a big inspiration in that. So that really spoke to me, just the willingness that they had to go to these tiny communities and share Christ, not thinking that they're above us or above going there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember about a year later, we had the group Bethlehem
Yeah.
come out, and they stayed with us for a few days and had a free concert. Everything was always free.
Yeah.
At the theater, and people got saved, and we developed relationships with those guys, and we had a good time.
Yeah, it was a real good time, and
there was no staff, and
there was no church membership.
Well, and theologically, we are very different than we were then. And I know we talked about this last time, but I was thinking about it. Who gets you first after you get saved?
Yeah.
That's usually the trail you start on. We're all on journeys. And I just really encourage everyone to be so patient with each other, to let each other have stepping stones on their journey, because it's not all going to look the same.
No, it's not.
I mean, we've had friends that we from the very beginning, that when we got saved, and we're still friends, and our journeys we live far apart, have been so different, but we still love each other and we still see each other.
So important to just allow people to be on the journey that they're on, because that's what God's doing in their life.
Yeah.
What he's doing in my life doesn't have to be what he's doing in their life.
Exactly.
Just lighten up.
Someone else got to them first.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking about that, who gets to you first, I think that's a really good way to put that. Even though, like you mentioned, theologically or whatever, we're not in that same spot, but that's where we started, and that's where we needed to be at the time.
Yeah.
And it was important to be there, because that plays into who we are today and to what we know about grace and the gospel today. All of these life experiences over the decades play into and become a part of who we are right now. And just the importance of grace and the importance of the gospel and the importance of understanding the new covenant, I think we're there in part because of where we were over the decades, and things change. Nothing stays the same. The Holy Spirit isn't stagnant. And he gently moves us along, and he moves us along in the direction that he wants to move us. And it's pain-free. It really is. And it's just been good. It's been good. It's been a good experience. And looking back on that docuseries was just awesome. I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again a couple of times.
Yeah, I want to watch it with our grandsons.
Yes.
They're teenagers now, and I think it'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be really good. So it gives us an opportunity to talk. It opens up that avenue, too, to talk about spiritual things. Because really, when you think about it, the other stuff that we deem as so important is really kind of gospel add-ons.
Yeah.
They're not part of the gospel. There are things that we add on to it, and a lot of times what we add on to the gospel clutters the gospel. And some of it can clutter the gospel to the point where it's almost unrecognizable. It becomes a morphed gospel, which is no gospel at all. It becomes a gospel that's based on things other than simple belief, simple faith in the Lord. And that's not the gospel. That's works. And there is no place in the gospel, there is no place in the new covenant and justification for justification by works, justification by what we do or don't do. Paul called that, I think it was to the Colossians when he wrote to them, he called it an appearance of wisdom. That these external things, these things that we bring and add to our faith, the gospel, sometimes they can have an appearance of wisdom or holiness, but at the end of the day, they have no power, Paul said, in constraining the flesh, because they just get in the way. And they can look good, they can look pious. Some of the stuff that we conjure up can look kind of pious, and it can look, wow, this guy's really holy or whatever. But it's just an appearance.
Well, it doesn't get to the heart like the gospel does.
Yeah.
Because that's why you have all these scandals. If you've ever watched the Roy's report, her emails or whatever, it's astounding that it never stops. The sexual abuse, all of the abuse that's going on. And these guys looked really holy. They looked really spiritual. But when you have the gospel, that's the thing about what I was looking for at church. To be around people where you're just encouraging each other with the gospel. Because that is what helps you say no to sin.
Yeah.
It makes you not even want to sin. Because you're reminded how much you are loved.
Exactly.
How much you mean to God. I think we forget that. Because it becomes an attitude of, I need to do this because he told me I have to do this. I need to be this way because he told me I have to be this way, rather than a relationship of just walking together through life.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. This is my time of life where I'm just done with it all. And I really do miss the input of the gospel in my life. I mean, we get it through podcasts, but.
Yeah, I understand it. It's funny how we kind of substitute things for what really matters. We substitute what matters for what doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And there's so many add-ons in a religious system. There's so many add-ons in religion itself that it can get cluttered and really hard to sort that out. But at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, and in the middle of the day, the only thing that matters is faith expressing itself in love.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's simple. That's the simple gospel. That's simple faith. There's no add-ons to that.
And I think it's important that we explore and learn and, as far as theology, doctrine, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But it's not the end all.
No, it's not. Definitely not.
I just want to know more of Jesus. Isn't there a song?
I want more of Jesus, more and
more.
Yeah, that's
but we have all of them.
That's theologically sound, right?
Yeah.
That's one of those early Jesus people songs, that, I want more of Jesus, more and more and more. I want more of Jesus than I ever had before. I want more of his great love, so rich, so full, so free. I want more of Jesus, so I'll give him more of me. Wow, how does that work?
I know.
Hey, looking back on that, but at the time, that was part of the good that we experienced. That was part of the, that's what we needed to hear at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, it's theologically leaky all over the place, but it's what we needed to hear. And it was good for us to hear it because it was couched in a community where people were loving other people. And these were fun songs. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them we used to do a cappella.
Yeah.
Back in those days, a whole bunch of them. And some of the lyrics are rich and rewarding, and some of them are kind of like, I want more of Jesus. But I understand that longing, having been there. I want more of Jesus. I want more of his great love, so rich, so full, so free. I still want that. That hasn't changed.
Maybe know it more and believe it more.
Yeah. But even a desire to want that gets stronger as you grow older in the Lord, I think.
Yeah.
We just learn different ways to phrase it, to say it, that maybe aren't quite as out there. What else you got there?
Well, I have the lyrics to Love Song, the group Love Song, which the docuseries was about the group. They have a song called Love Song. And the simplicity of all the words back then were great also. And just like this, lend an ear to a love song, oh, a love song. Let it take you, let it start. Can you hear it in a love song? If you can feel it, then you're feeling from the heart. All the emotions, true feelings of life is what music of love is about. If you are listening with peace in your heart and no doubt, so listen now to a love song. Oh, a love song. Let it take you. Let it start. In the documentary, it talks about how back in the late 60s, early 70s, all the drugs, sex, and rock and roll, people were finding it wasn't meeting their expectations. It wasn't meeting their needs. And so when you start throwing love into the mix, start blowing people away. Yeah. And I think that's what, I don't know, will there ever be a revival again? I don't know.
Yeah, it's different now. Like you mentioned, I think maybe you mentioned in the last podcast, or maybe we just have been talking about it since then, but you just don't see this gospel-centeredness like you did, even a few years ago. It seems to have morphed. I think we've done add-ons. I think things get cluttered. I think social media clutters it, but man, looking back on that time was so encouraging for me, and Chuck Girard's with Jesus now.
Yeah. From the time they were doing that,
yeah,
from the time they finished it to the time it got produced, he died.
Yeah. So he's with the Lord. Their lead guitar player, Bob Wall, who was excellent, is, with the Lord.
Doesn't that just sound appealing?
Yeah, it does. Come quickly, Jesus. Yeah. There's another song that Tom Stipe wrote, I think. Come quickly, Jesus. Anyway, I don't have anything else. I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, I don't want to come down on church. I just wanted to just talk about why it's not satisfying to me anymore.
Yeah.
Just my expectations just went out the window. I got a donut out of the deal.
There you go. That's important.
And I really appreciate my sister going with me. I was hoping I wouldn't damage her, but she did fine.
I think it's awesome that you were able to go and not have to leave in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I still remember that happening so many times, or coming home kind of stressed out. There was none of that.
Yeah, coming home and having to do alcohol or play video games where I'm shooting people or...
Therapeutic.
Yeah, I just, it was like another day, and I thought, oh, it was a disappointment. That was all.
Yeah.
It was what happened was I kept seeing it on my social media that there was a new church in town. It turned out it was a new campus to a church. So the guy was on the screen. But
I remember that one we went to years ago. We were trying out things, and, we're sitting there watching this guy, and all of a sudden he flickered.
Oh, yeah?
Remember that? He was a hologram.
Yeah, he was a hologram.
He was a hologram. The guy was transparent in a different kind of way. But yeah, he suddenly glitched. I was like, did you see that? He flickered. So yeah, gosh, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just looking forward to heaven.
Yep. There'll be no flickering there.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share what happened.
Well, y'all, thanks for joining us on this episode with the husband and wife Grace team on the Grace Cafe podcast. We appreciate you joining us. You can hit our website at gracecafepodcast.com, or, as you probably already know, we are on your favorite podcast app. So we'll let you go for now. And until next time, y'all take care.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Cafe podcast. To be a part of this ongoing conversation, visit us online at gracecafepodcast.com.